All right, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome PCHS Senior Chance Sayre.
Robin Williams, Chris Farley, Marilyn Monroe. These three had a lot in common, including wealth, fame, and countless awards. All three of these incredible actors made us laugh, cry, and sit on the edge of our seats. What doesn't get talked about enough is their unfortunate demise. All three of these household names lost their lives due to either suicide or drug addiction, caused by their mental health struggles. Today, I want to take you behind the curtain to explore the struggles of showbiz. While we idolize and envy Hollywood's best, it's important to know that it's not always sunshine and rainbows. In fact, people in performing arts are twice as likely to have depression as the general population. To start, by a show of hands, how many of you know what method acting is? Well, for those of you that don't, it's a technique in which an actor aspires to complete emotional identification with a part. I'm sure most of you have heard of Dahmer. Evan Peters took up method acting for this part by wearing weights on his arms, so he didn't move them while he was walking, and so he kept his back straight to match Dahmer's real posture. He also took months of vocal training and listening to audio recordings to match Dahmer's voice. That is, on top of dressing and acting as if he really was Jeffrey Dahmer. As you can see in the picture, he had his hair dyed, his dressing similar, and even has a cigarette in his left hand. Another very famous method acting role is the Joker. When Jared Leto played the Joker, his method acting consisted of sending gifts to castmates, including a live rat, a dead dog, and used bullets while staying in character the entire time on shoot. Heath Ledger also did method acting for the Joker, and for this, he locked himself in a hotel room for a month and wrote a very detailed diary on psychopaths similar to the Joker to more accurately portray someone who was mentally insane. This process was very tolling for Heath Ledger, which led him to drugs, killing him in January of 2008. Which fits the mold because a study done by Sydney University shows 80% of actors are currently using some sort of substance. Which leads me to the many instances where actors fall for drug abuse. We're just used to it at this point, but we never think if there's really a reason for it. A few things we never think of are public opinion can really have a toll on actors. Another being their access to money, making it easy for them to acquire substances at their own pleasure. More commonly in child actors, though, is peer influence. Peer influence happens to young actors when older actors, who are likely already addicts, introduce them to substances, such as someone like Lindsay Lohan, who ended up in rehab 3 times in 2007. How many of you have seen The Wizard of Oz? Well, during that film process, Judy Garland, who played Dorothy, was put on sleeping pills by studio executives to work longer shifts. Many people would agree that this is what ultimately brought Judy Garland to drugs and killed her. The power complex is shown in this sense on many other occasions in The Wizard of Oz. A very well-known one being Judy Garland being physically harmed by the director for missing lines and breaking character. Another being the makeup they were forced to wear. The actor who played the Tin Man had a reaction to the Tin Man's makeup and was hospitalized 10 days in production and was promptly recasted. The Wicked Witch's makeup was toxic and flammable. Both actors who played the part had severe burns on their face from the makeup, combined with malfunctions from other various set pieces and props. This all happened on the decision that the higher-ups made to look away and pretend this was something that was meant to be endured. They even had the power to keep this a secret from us for years after. Even today, we're still receiving news on the tragedies of this horrific film process for Judy Garland and the rest of the actors. Child actors' careers have been ended up before they've even started on so many occasions. Very famously, Jake Lloyd. Some of you might know him from his role as Anakin in Star Wars: The Phantom Menace. After that, his acting career miraculously ended after the movie was not well received. But that's not the only reason he quit. He quit because he was criticized at school for his performance, and and was ridiculed by Star Wars fans online. He was even voted Worst Supporting Actor by an online pop culture fan base. Mark Hamill, who was another very famous Star Wars actor, later came out and said, "He was only 10. That boy did exactly what George Lucas wanted him to." And followed that with, "One of the reasons I will never let my kids in show business. Wait till you're 18 because it's going to be an endless life of rejection, ridicule, and unemployment." As most of you probably know, acting is a hobby of mine. You can see me in Anastasia March 17th and 19th. And I know what I'm talking about is the very dark parts of acting, but as a hobby, acting has taught me a lot about preparation, confidence, and communication. That's why I continue to act and like people for a very long time. But never as a career, because it's become very evident to me that a life in acting is something many actors have come to regret because of the constant backlash online or the physical and mental demand of 80-hour work weeks. So, whenever you see the next news story about an actor that was arrested for drug abuse or took their own life, consider the hard truths that they might have been exposed to drugs for coping or put under pressure they could no longer handle, sending them over the edge. I hope you'll join me with a new perspective on careers in acting and understanding it's not as glamorous as it's perceived. Here's a quote from Heath Ledger's Joker I feel explains it better than I ever could. "Madness as we know it is like gravity. All it takes is a little push." Thank you.